A modernist decoration on the building, that's bourgeois, superfluous, get it out of there altogether. Postmodern Art Deco is NBC Tower, Adrian Smith, 1989, harking back to the Art Deco 30s. And London can have Big Ben, Paris can have the Eiffel Tower. Chicago's answer was and is and always will be the Wrigley Building, commissioned in 1921 by chewing gum king William Wrigley Jr. As a young man, William Wrigley Jr. went to Burnham's Fair. He never forgot it. That's the Beaux-Arts look at the 1893 fair. William Wrigley even hired the successor firm to Daniel Burnham, Graham Anderson, Props and White to do the work. The clock tower being modeled on the 11th century where all Italians to be in Spain. Now this whole area to our right is called Pioneer Court, for it was right here in 1779 that Jean-Baptiste Pontoussaint, a French-speaking fur trader from Haiti who became the first Chicagoan, started a fur trading empire. And looking like a Gothic cathedral, that is Tribune Tower, home to the Chicago Tribune newspaper. 1922, Colonel Robert McCormick, publisher of the Tribune, offers $100,000 in international design contest for the most beautiful office building in the world. Oxymoron notwithstanding, 264 entries. Howells and Hood of New York win, inspired by the Gothic cathedrals of France and Belgium in that design. Hey, this blue monolith on your right is the new second tallest building in Chicago, Trump International Hotel and Tower, Adrian Smith architect of Skidmore, Owings & Merrill. Yes, New York financier and fading television star Donald Trump is blessing us with a 92-story, 1,125-foot building. Now, wait a minute. Trump's building is 2 feet shorter than the town Hancock Center, but it claims to be taller. How is that possible? Did you notice as we approach the needle, the spire on top? Here is a little trick. If you have a tall building and you want to be taller, you add a spire. Spires count as height. So when you add the spire, the building magically becomes 1,362 feet, so I can say it's second to the Sears Willis Tower. We go back to the Beaux-Arts tradition for the jewelers building on our left, inspired by a 15th century Italian monastery of the Supplicity di Pavia, built here for the diamond trade. Back in 26, drive your Model T4 filled with diamonds right into your basement. Special elevator lifts up your car. You retrieve your diamonds and run through that building like a happy squirrel with a sack of nuts, feeling safe. Safety is an issue. This is prohibition. Alcohol is illegal. But let's get it straight. Chicago is never dry. You can get a drink during prohibition at the Stratosphere Lounge right below that dome. You can bend an elbow with a regular with Mr. Al Capone, the bootlegger, the gangster. You follow me now? You got gangsters upstairs. You got diamond dealers downstairs. This is poor planning. Hence the elevator. Ludwig Mies van der Rohe, father of modernism, final American commission on the right, the former IBM building. Mies coined the phrase, less is more. Modernism is called minimalism because once you do away with decoration, what do you need? Nothing more than skeleton, skin, and space, that's it. Skeleton is the frame of the building, skin the glass curtain wall, space more often than not a square, and then look, you run into a rebel modernist, Berkeley Goldberg, doing the Marina City Towers in the 1960s as curvilinear design, hence their nickname, the Corn-Top Towers. And right here, you're looking at the student rejecting his teacher. Goldberg had studied with Mies van der Rohe, probably learned a lot. Anybody who understands an open floor plan would, but he found boxes, psychological slums, but a circle would gather people together. Curvilinear flower form, a core-like stem housing elevators and utilities, rings like the petals of a flower from the base up. Goldberg creates a complete city with docking for boats, 4 restaurants, a bank, office space, a bowling alley, a swimming pool, and living space upstairs. You see, it's the height of the 1960s. The middle class is abandoning the city for the suburbs. Berkeley Goldberg is trying to reverse the trend a bit because without a strong middle class living in it, you will never ever have a great city, friends. And so Goldberg knew many people would stay downtown if you could give them 24 hours urban living. He gave that to you right at home because the river was still industrial. The Western Hotel began as the Japanese Nikko Hotel. You'll still see elements of their beautiful roof garden. International School of Modernism, the Heinz Building, 1987, Bruce Graham, Skidmore, Owings & Merrill. The International School Modernists were of the mindset, let's just forget about all architectural history. We now have the glass tops. Let's just keep putting up the same building now around the globe, over and over and over. Step back in time now to 1913. The red brick building with the clock tower on our right. This is the Reed Murdoch Center by George Niemans. Now, Niemans was actually associated with the Prairie School of Architecture. Prairie School architecture you'll find to evoke our flat Midwestern landscape. Often their designs were rise and hugging, balanced here by a clock tower. You will note the building is asymmetrical. It misses a fifth arched bay on the left-hand side. That fifth bay had to go out when the bridge we approached was coming in. In 1926, as they were widening the South Street for the coming bridge, the building, which had been there for 13 years, came out a little in the way. Changed their plans, moved the bridge around the corner, Not in Chicago, forget about it. It's in the way of progress, and if they do, they just knock off 20-foot buildings and widen the street. In our industrial days, there was a time where we forgot about the river, treated it like a back alley, but as you can see, now we embrace it like a second lakefront. Here's one of the last true early Chicago school skyscrapers, a 1912 coffee warehouse original. On our right, let's look at three elements. Number one, of course, the internal frame supporting the weight. That will take you directly. Number two, a Chicago window, which means a wide window to let in natural light. And you can do that because you've got the internal frame liberated from the load-bearing exterior wall. Finally, how do you anchor a building in Chicago's glacial, sandy soil? You use posts which are called caissons. These are the box-like structures built with concrete. You might have to send them down in Chicago 65 feet to hit something solid. Most likely, you're going to anchor on hardpan, oxidized clay. On our right now, one of the grandest examples of Art Deco architecture ever. This is the Chicago Merchandise Mart. Graham Anderson Props in White, 2030.